hi there, greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the KG M40, the new gun introduced into season 2. Where does it rank in the meta and how viable is it in Warzone? As always, if you find today's content helpful or you feel like you learned something new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to find your way back to the channel, make sure you have notifications turned on so you know every time that we post new content. Make sure you come check us out live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday over there on Twitch from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central. Man, this gun, I'm gonna tell you, like, it's got its viableness. I don't know if it'll ever be top of the meta. There's a few things that'll kind of hold it back, but in terms of usability, I think it's definitely gonna be one of those guns that we just see a lot of the average players using just because of how easy it is to actually use. Without waiting and without further ado, man, let's just hop right into it. I mean, I hope you like this kind of video. If you do, man, where we just get right to the point, show you the loadout, make sure you hit that like button. That helps the channel as well. But looking right into it, man, the muzzle that we've got on this thing is the MX silencer. The barrel is the Riesdorf 720mm shrouded. The optics, your G16 2.5 times. Your stocks, the Krosnik 12V. Your underbarrels, the 1941. Your magazines, the 30-06 60 round drum. Ammunition's gonna be lengthened. Your rear grip's gonna be the polymer grip. Your perk's gonna be tight grip, and your perk 2 is gonna be fully loaded. Looking into these attachments, kind of going through each one here. The thing about this gun is it has like almost no recoil. It's very easy to use. It's kind of like the kilo meta. It's like the growl meta. The one thing that holds this gun back is going to be its TTK. It's a little slower than some of the other guns, and I think that's what's going to stop it from getting to the top of the meta. Your TTK with it's going to be right around 900 milliseconds or so. If you want to compare that to something like your STG is probably right around 705. Your kilo is going to be right around 800. So you're going to have a few other guns. Your XM4, for instance, right around 800. They're going to kill slightly faster, but of course when you're playing the game, people are moving, things are happening, you're not really going to notice that difference, right? If you get in a straight up gunfight, yes, that's going to come into play, in other words. And if you're looking at somebody, they're looking at you, you start shooting at the same time, you're both hitting your shots, you can possibly lose with this gun. However, the recoil being what it is with this gun makes it just so easy to use, man, and it's definitely viable. I would call it meta. I just wouldn't call it absolute meta. I wouldn't say it's top of the mountain, but I definitely would say it's viable. Like, you can play with it, have a good time with it. I know I went into a couple of matches, man, putting up 8, 10, 12 kills, and it was just easy, right? And I think that's what your beginner to average middle of the pack players are looking for, and that's why they're going to gravitate to this thing, because guns that are absolute meta may have issues, right? They may have a higher TTK, but the recoil's all over the place. They may have zero recoil, but their TTK is a little less. That's kind of what you get into with this gun. Looking at the attachments on it, your muzzle, the MX silencer. A lot of people are going with this recoil booster just because it's going to increase the fire rate, but it's going to reduce your accuracy. Putting this MX silencer on not only is going to give you a sound suppression, keep you off that mini map, but it also helps with that vertical and horizontal recoil control. It is going to affect your ADS speed slightly, but we'll make up for that with some of the other attachments that we're going to put on it. Looking at your barrel, the Riesdorf 720mm shrouded. Again, going to lose a little bit on your ADS and movement speed, but what it's going to give us is recoil control and accuracy. Flinch resistance, which, as you know, is something that was new, that was introduced when Vanguard came, so that definitely helps. It's also going to give you reduced scope sway and gun bob, which is going to help you stay on target, but more than anything, it's going to add bullet velocity. You could go with like a rapid with a fire rate that increases that, but you're going to lose your recoil and your sprint to fire. Some people are talking about the Krosnik 700mm 01V, which is very controllable and reduces sway, but there's so many negativities to that, man, when it comes to your ADS speed and your aim walking speed, your movement speed. So that's why I feel like the Riesdorf 720mm is going to be the best one for this. Again, negatively affecting your ADS and movement speed slightly, but not as much as some of the other barrels, but more than anything, giving you that additional bullet velocity, which is going to help when you get into those long range engagements. Looking at the optic, I do use the G16 2.5 times, right? Some people may prefer the 1229 slate, the 325 custom. You've got your 3 to 6 times zoom, things like that. Whatever you're comfortable with, use that optic with it. Me personally, I just like the way this 2.5 feels on this gun. It still gives you a decent magnification, but it helps with your accuracy. It's compact, so you can move a little quicker, and it also helps with your recoil control. And that's one thing that I really like about the scope on this build particularly. So again, optic is preference, but me personally, I think the G16 is just the best fit for this gun. Looking at your stock, the Krosnik 12V, man, that thing gives you a boost on accuracy. Again, flinch resistance, which is something that's going to help. If you're getting into them engagements and you're getting shot back, you're not going to come off target. target. You're not going to be popping up when you're firing and things like that. Additional recoil control and additional aiming stability. Some people are actually running like the padded or the adjustable. To me, it affects it too much. You do get a little more mobility here with this, but we're using this with long range, and that's where I think this one comes into play and is actually just the best stock to have on the gun. Underbarrel, of course, your standard build, the M1941 hand stop, giving you more recoil control, more accuracy on your gun. If you actually wanted to change that up, you could go to like a Carver foregrip. It's going to give you a little more hip fire accuracy. If you have this in your hand, you get caught running, you just have to fire. It'll help out there. You're going to lose a little bit on your ADS speed, so that's kind of the negative there. The SMLE pistol grip, again, same thing, but you're going to lose a little bit of recoil control on that. So for right now, man, the 1941, you know, it's kind of becoming the standard. We're starting to see that as our meta kind of balances itself out, as we start to get these updates, these nerfs, these buffs. We're starting to see which attachments, kind of like in previous games we saw in Cold War and Modern Warfare, there was just that base 5 attachments. You put them on every gun. You kind of knew what the meta build was. That's kind of what we're starting to see here. Magazine is one thing that you do have preference on. The 8mm Clouser 60 rounds going to give you a little more ammo capacity, but it's going to lower your ADS, your reload quickness, and your movement speed, as to where the 30-06 60 round drum, it's going to do the same thing, right? Reduce your fire rate slightly, but you're going to get more bullet velocity and range, more damage, more bullet penetration, and you'll have the same capacity as the 8mm Clouser. To me, in my opinion, the 30-06 is just the way to go when it comes to ammunition. Ammunition type, of course, is going to be lengthened. We know we want that on all of our long range weapons. All right, looking at your rear grip, polymer grip, right? That's the best grip you can put on this thing. It's going to give you flinch resistance. It's going to give you accuracy and recoil control during sustained fire, which is what you want. You want to make sure that you stay on target when you're firing, and you want to make sure that if you are getting hit, like we said, that flinch resistance kicks in. There is some questions here. Some people say maybe stippled grip would be better. I think that gives you a little bit of recoil recovery, a little bit of initial firing recoil. You also can go with like a tape grip for aiming stability and weapon swap quickness, but in my opinion, I think it controls the gun better. I've tried it with each, and the polymer grip just seems like it has the best control and the best bang for the buck when you're looking at your rear grip attachment for this gun. Going into perk, tight grip seems to be it, man. Like, tight grip right now is just OP. The accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. If you have tight grip, that is the perk you want on every gun that you have right now. You could do sleight of hand, but the reload time on this thing is really just non-existent. It's not that noticeable. Some people like gung-ho, but again, we're not planning on running and gunning and hip firing and things like that with this build. So all in all, tight grip's gonna be your best perk there. And then of course your perk 2 is gonna be fully loaded. I think fully loaded is just a standard perk when you're building a long range loadout. That way you've got, you know, the max ammunition when you're starting out in the game and things like that. So there you have it, man. Will this thing be top of the meta? I don't think so. It would take a miracle, just because its TTK is so far, well, I don't want to say so far, right? But it's high enough that there's just other guns that would step up before this one. It would take some major buffs to this gun to get it to be just top, like your Bren and things like that. But definitely, man, look, if you're a fan of the Kilo, if you're a fan of the Grau, if you're a fan of those guns that had zero recoil, that like the FFAR at one time, when they're just easy to use, you can hit your shots, and this thing does a decent job. Like, I'm not saying it just takes forever to kill somebody. I've got a little bit of gameplay that I'm going to share with you as well. You can actually see this thing in action, man, and it definitely puts people down in a decent time. And I had actually higher kill games with this gun than I do with some of the meta guns, playing with the Bren and things like that. Make sure you check it out, man. Make sure you like the loadout. As always, if you find today's content good, make sure you hit that like button. I know I said it in the beginning, but it really does help the channel out. And as always, I'm Ketchxxii, and I'm going to catch you on the playground. I'm out of here.